Sundara Tasmai Halasya Vasine, Chatushishti Vidhalila, Yenakari Bhuvastale, Srimad Sundaranathasya Devim Shaparalochana, Kalaye Hridaya Nityam, Kadamba Vanavasini, Putam Swataf Putataram Tatoyat Gangam Payas Shankar Moli Sanga, Tatpatu Matuf Pranaya Paradha Padahatif Putatamam Tato Naha Ashraushid Ashruta Charam Amritasyaiva Nirjaram Ganamaatodhyasam Bhinnam Gandharvana Madurataha Satak Anusarena Samprasarpan Shanesh Dayaya Deva Devasya Divyam Chakshur Adharayat Sa Divyalingam Abhitaha Sandadarsha Suran Rishin Dhyayato Gayataha Saman Samani Archataha cha Abhishinchataha Nanrutuhu Pramathaha Kwapi Jaguhu Samani Samagaha Nanrutur Deva Sudrishaha Jaguhu Anyatra Kinnaraha. Nilakanta Dikshita is in the process of describing the third Leela here. First he started off with describing the life of Dhananjaya and how much of a Shiva Bhakta he is. As he was after that description, one day Dhananjaya was roaming around Desheshu Saha Atanna Tatra Sayankale. He came to this Kadambavanam, and that place was filled with trees and animals and everything. But usually it is the process that whenever people go out, they try to take shelter during the evening time, and they don't travel at night. This is a very common practice even till I would say 20 years back. Nowadays that is irrelevant because there is so much of lighting, and it's still people do follow that practice because nighttime is something where you calm down, rejuvenate yourself to start working the other day morning, and that's a normal practice. Business people in those days, Vanik, they used to do the same thing. They would not travel during the daytime, so he was also, Dhananjaya, our hero, was also looking for a place to take rest. Now, as he entered, as he saw this vanam, nighttime started falling, and he heard. First, he heard some music. Ashraushit, Ashruta Purvam. So, Ashruta Charam. This was something that he had not heard before. And he was also suffering due to Somavaram fast. It was a Somavara day, and he had been fasting the whole day, being a Shiva Bhakta. He was also fatigued, totally tired from the long journey, and he was separated from his group. They usually travel in huge groups. And then suddenly everything seemed the same because of Shiva's Sannidhyam. Sarvam ekamiva abhat. Ityuktam purveva. Purvasmin Shloka, I think. Yes, 63. Sarvam ekam abhat. Everything seemed like just one, and he could experience that Shiva Sannidhyam. And then he first only heard the music. He did not see anybody. Then he heard the music of the Gandharvas, which was like a nectar. Please note this point, Amritasya iva nirjaram, because this point is going to come later also. And there is a relevance there. So, Amritasya nirjaram iva ashraushit, he heard the music of the Gandharvas, which was like a nectar, waterfall made of fully nectar. He followed that sound, and as he was going, Bhagavan decided to grace him with Divya Chakshus. So, Divyam Chakshuhu Adharayat, Devadevasya Dayaya. Because of the grace of Parameshwara, as he was following that sound, he got a divine sight so that he could see. And then what did he see? Divyalingam Abhitaha Sandadarsha Suran Rishi. He saw Devas, Rishis, everybody who were either meditating or worshipping him with flowers or doing abhishekam to the lingam. Each one had their own way of expressing their bhakti towards the Lord. Everybody, because each one comes with a different set of samskaras, each one will have a different way of expressing their bhakti also. That's why you have 63 different Nayanmars, each one showing their bhakti towards Parameshwara in a different manner. Right? And the Alvars or any bhakta that you take over the history of Bharata Desham, you will find that each one has expressed their bhakti towards the Lord in a different way. And Nilakanta Dikshita captures that variety in a very beautiful manner in both Shloka 66 and 67. He says, Dhyayataha, Gayataha Samani, Samani Gayataha. Some people know Samaveda verses and they are singing those verses. Archantaha, they worship him with flowers. Abhishinchantaha, they do Abhishekam constantly. Anyway, Shiva is Abhisheka Priya. He will have some so many different yama times of Abhishekam for him. Whereas our Narayana is Alankara Priya. Shiva is Abhisheka Priya. So Abhishinchantaha. And then Pramathaha Nandrutuhu. Pramataganas danced. There were some who were singing Samagaha, Samani Gayantaha. Nartuhu Devasudrishaha. Apsara Stris were also present there and they were dancing while Kinnaras were singing. So it was like a big festival that was happening. Like the in a Puram, I think the festival is happening in Meenakshi temple right now, right? Or it just completed, I think. So it's a festival time that he saw was happening in that forest near that Sundaralingam. Kamalaihi, now he also joined them. From the shloka, he joined this puja. Kamalaihi kanakabjinyaha vimalaihi ubayaihi api sa suraihi sardham anarcha sharvani chandrasekharau. Saha Dhananjayaha Suraihi Sardham, along with the Devas, not only Sura ityukte, tatra it you take it as including all of those types of beings that were mentioned in the earlier 2-3 shlokas. Suraihi, Rishibhihi, Apsarobhihi, Kinnaraihi, Pramathaganaihi, cha Sardham. When they were also doing, he also joined with them and did what he could. Kanakabjinyaha, Kamalaihi, Vimalaihi, Ubhayaihi, api Vimalaihi, Kamalaihi. Kanakabjinyaha, Ubhayaihi, api Vimalaihi, Kamalaihi. Now there is it's a little difficult to understand this in the sense I was trying a little hard. Kamalam here is lotus. Vimala means pure. So there is no ubhayam here. There are no two types of things here. So I took this Vimalam to mean white. So there were white lotuses and there were also Suvarna Pushpam. Kanakabjini, the Potramaraikulam, the Suvarna Padmini that is there in Madurai, near that Kadambavanam, that has golden lotuses and Indra had done it. We saw that in the second, third Sarga. Right? So Kanakabjinyaha, Kanaka, the golden lake, Hemabjini. So in that lake, Kanakabjini, there were lotuses, Kamalaihi. So because the lotuses naturally there are golden lotuses. So you take that Kamala as the golden lotuses. When you look at the Vimalam, you take that as the white lotuses or lilies, which would have probably bloomed as it was the night time. Right? So Vimalaihi iti ubhayairapi kamalaihi. So Kanakabjinyaha kamalaihi, Vimalaihi kamalaihi athava Vimalaihi utpalaihi iti ubhayaihi api dvividhaihi api, with both varieties of lotuses that of this lake, which is both Kamala, that is Suvarna Kamalam, and Vimala, which is white lilies. Iti ubhayairapi Sharvani Chandrasekharau Anarcha. He Anarcha Archayati ityasya litlakaraha, so apujayat, pujayamasa. He worshipped Dhananjaya, Saha Dhananjayaha, Suraihi Sardham, along with the Devas. He worshipped Anarcha. He worshipped Sharvani Chandrasekharau. He worshipped Sharvani, Sharvasya Stri. Sharvasya Patni iti Sharvani. Sharvani is Parvati here. Sharvaha is Parameshwara. And the Chandrasekhara is also Chandrasekharaha. Chandraha Shekhare Yasya, one who has the moon on his head is Chandrasekhara. Sharvak, there was a meaning that I was looking at. Shrunoti sarvaha prajaha iti sharvaha. See, usually, you can't it's a way of there is a text called Niruktam. Yaska has written a work called Niruktam, and he has given the etymological derivation of every word. His matam is that his belief is that every word has its root in a dhatu. So he will derive all of those words from a dhatu. Like Brahmanat, Brahma, one who grows, one who expands, iti Brahma. Here, Sharva, Shrunoti, one who listens. One who listens means Sarvaha Prajaha Shrunoti, one who listens to all of all of the subjects. Every prani, whatever they say, he is able to listen to them. How is he able to listen to them? It's because he is the Antaratma. सर्वस्य अन्तः सर्वेषाम् अन्तः अन्तरात्मतया सह वर्तते इति कारणात् सर्वाः प्रजाः शृणोति इति शर्वः. So he is a person who listens to everybody's words. That is why probably the moment Dhananjaya was listening to the music, he wanted to see, and Bhagavan listened to that and he gave him that opportunity, so gave him that Divya Chakras. So Sarvah Prajaha Shrunoti iti Sharvaha. Sharvasya Patni Sharvani. Another meaning is also Pralaye Samharati. He destroys everything, or he merges everything within himself. Or Bhaktanam Papani Samharati. He removes all the sins of his devotees. Iti Sharvaha. So you can take any derivation for that. Sharvani, Shakti, and Chandrasekhara, Dhananjaya did a puja for both of them, both Sundareshwara and Meenakshi there. So Saha Suraihi Sardham Kanakabjinyaha Ubhayairapi Kamalaihi, or you can take it as Kamalaihi Vimalaihi iti Ubhayaihi api Pushpaihi Sharvani Chandrasekharau Anarcha. He worshipped both of them. Kamalai Kanakabjinyaha Vimalai Ubhayairapi Sasurai Sardham Anarcha Sharvani Chandrasekharau. Next is now this when all of those was done, and Dhananjaya had also finished his puja. This was probably the early morning, last Jamam puja. Now it became morning. Prabhatayam cha Sharvaryam, correct. Sharvaryam pravritte janachankrame sayatra aikshishta devarshin tatra aikshishta tarun mrigan. There is a drop there. Because there is an ecstasy when you listen to the description of how the devas were all doing this. At home, you have a lot of relatives coming in, and they're all staying there for a couple of days. And then it's like one big festival. Everything is done. And then all of them, they have their train, they leave. And then you are left alone in the house. There is one a drop in that excitement and everything, and there is one quietness there, right? That was what he was feeling probably. Prabhatayam Sharvaryam. Sharvaryam Prabhatayam cha. There are two versions here. Prabhantyam cha Sharvaryam. As the night was becoming clear. Prabhati, Prabhataha, Prabhatayam Sharvaryam. Prabhatam is morning. We use that word very commonly to mean morning. Bhati ityukte, it is a prakasham bhavati. Yada Sharvari prakasha yukta bhavati. As the night began to clear. So Prabhata here, don't take it as a word to mean early morning, but use think of it as Shatru Pratyayam. Prakarshena bhatayam. Prakarshena bhata. Kta pratyaya. With if you take it as a kta pratyayam, then you will understand that as the night began to become more and more clear, that is, it started to clear out. The night became, the night left and it became clear. That is, as it was becoming early morning. Prabhatayam, Sharvaryam, Prabhatayam Satyam, and Janachankrame Pravritte. As it started becoming morning, people would start moving around back and forth. Chankramanam. Chankramanam ityukte punah punaha brahmanam. There is a special pratyaya here which goes into the kramil dhatu and makes it double to indicate punah punaha abhikshanyam. So punah punaha brahmanam. Punah punaha kramanam. Kramanam ityukte chalanam brahmanam. So again and again, you do a same action, then you add a pratyaya called young look or something like that, and a word is formed. You can derive the entire verb like vari varti or dari drishyate. These are all bobhuyate. These are all words to indicate paunaf punyam, that a frequency is associated with that particular verb. So here the verb is kramadhatu and chankramanam meaning punaf punaha kramanam brahmanam. So jana chankrame pravritte sati, pravrittam arabdham, when people started going back and forth again and again, as soon as the night cleared out, sharvaryam prabhatayam cha jana chankrame pravritte cha, when people also started going back and forth. Now things should be clear, right? He should see all the devas and everybody know. Yatra devarshina aikshishta, where he saw devas and rishis, aikshishta. Aikshishta is lung lakara for ikshadatu. So wherever he saw those devas and rishis doing archana for the lingam, there he only saw trees and animals. Tarun Mriganacha Aikshishta. He only saw trees and Mrigan Devaha. I took it as, Mrigas are Pashu, right? Devas are usually Rajasika quality. They have more of the Rajas quality in them. So probably the Devas immediately changed themselves into the animals and they were all roaming around in the forest. We read earlier during the description of Kadambavanam, if you remember, Parameshwara, Shiva and Parvati, all of them took on a form and they were living in that Kadambavanam. The Devas had also taken on different forms, and to enjoy the Sannidhyam of Parameshwara, they started living in that forest itself. Right? So here, as probably they realized that it was becoming bright and it was becoming morning, and so they did not want to be seen, so they immediately changed form into animals. Devas became animals, and probably the rishis were the taru, because it is an upasana anukula rupam. It is an anukula form, that is, it is an appropriate form to do yoga abhyasam, where if you take on the form of a tree, you can't move anywhere. You are forced to be in one position, in one form. And it's the best way to do tapas, because it's like confining your physical body to one place, and it automatically brings in a regimen or a discipline to your abhyasam, yoga abhyasam. This is just my interpretation. A very superficial meaning for this is, where he saw devas and rishis, he saw trees and animals in that place. That's all. Prabhatayam cha sharvaryam pravritte janachankrame sayatra aikshishta devarshina tatra aikshishta tarun mrigan satutena adbhutena iva nivritta amrita paranaha ratangam paranam kartum prapa nediyasim purim. I told you in the 64th shloka, remember amritasyaiva nirjari. Remember that because that sound that he heard was like a nectar waterfall for him. That was his first parana. He was doing Somavara Vratam. Usually there are two ways of doing the Somavara Vratam. This is described in both Devi Bhagavatam and in Shiva Mahapuranam also. It is also described in other Skanda Puranam, that there are many ways to observe a fast. You can follow whichever is conducive to your mind and body. So Somavara Vratam can be like an Ekadashi Vratam, where it is a Nirjala Ekadashi the whole day. You sleep at night, and then in the morning you do Parana when there is Dwadashi. In the same way, you do the Parana in the morning. Parana is eating after your Vratam. Vratasya actually Angabhutam. It is Parana is not something that you do after the Vratam. The Parana is also an Angabhutam for that Vratam. If you remember Ambarisha's story, if you have all heard the story of Ambarisha, he had to do the Parana before the Dwadashi Tithi was gone and Trayodashi would come. So he had to have at least water or something to finish that Vratam. Otherwise, the Vratam is not complete without the partaking of food. So you have to take food or water or something to break that fast, and that Parana or Bhojanam yat kartavyam Bhojanam asti Vrata Anantara Divase अथवा व्रत दिवसे एव सायंकाले यत् भोक्तव्यं वर्तते तदपि व्रतस्य अंगमेव भवति. It is not something separate from the vratam, but it forms a part of the vratam itself. So the parana, நம்ம எப்ப வேணாலும் சாப்பிட்டுக்கலாமே அப்படிங்கிறது கிடையாது. That is not the point of a parana. The parana, being a part of the vratam, also has to be observed with so much of respect or devotion as you would give for the vratam itself. So it is a vratasya angam, amshabhutam. The first day itself. So there are, I forgot. So 2 ways to finish Somamara Vratam. Ekadashi, there is only one way. The whole day you don't eat anything, or you have some phala agaram, not pala agaram, just fruits or something. And the next day you have full meals. It depends. So that's how Ekadashi is. If you take Somamara Vratam, or even Sankatahara Chaturthi Vratam, there are certain Vratams where the whole day you are fasting, and then when the moon rises, you have a darshanam of Swami, and then you take food. So you can take one Ekavela Bhojanam to Kartavyam Tatra. That is also one way of observing the Somamara Vratam. Or the whole day you are fasting, the next day you break the fast by eating in the morning. Now he probably was observing some kind of vratam. Maybe he used to eat in the evening itself. That is why he was feeling very fatigued and he did not go to his home at all in the evening to break the fast. His fast was broken by the amritam that he saw and heard. Right? So tena adbhutenaiva nivritta amrita paranaha. Amritena parana nivritta samapta. His parana, the samapti of Somavara Vratam, was nivritta, was completed. He completed his fast with that amritam, amritena. How was that amritam? What is that amritam? Tena adbhutenaiva amritaparanaha nivritta amritaparana yena. So he had completed his fast with that adbhutam, that wondrous sight that he saw the night before. Deva, Rishi, Kinnara, Gandharvaihi, Krita Puja, Athava Archanam, all of these, Tena Bhavenaiva, Adbhutena, Tadrisha Ascharya Bhavenaiva. That Ascharya Bhavam that he saw, the sight that he saw, was like Amritam, which he was drinking through his Indriyas. So Nivritta Amrita Paranaha. His entire fast was complete with that nectar of that wonderful sight that he saw the day before. That was already done. But now he had to complete the vratam by actually physically eating, not just Indriya Vishayaka Bhojanam Tatra Nasti. There should be something to satisfy the hunger also, and which is a vrata angam. Vratangam paranam kartum. In order to complete the parana, complete the essential component of that vratam, vrata angam, which is parana, called parana, or eating on the day after the fast. So vratasya angarupam paranam kartum Nediyasim Purim Prapa. Nediyas is the town which is very close by. Antikam. Antika is replaced by Neda, and then you have Nediyas, which is an Iyasun Pratyaya, like Gariyasi, Garishta, Nedishta. So Antikam is near. Nediyas would be nearer. Nedishtha would be nearest. Okay, this is comparative and superlative. So Nediyasim Purim, ityukte the nearer town, a nearby town. So Viprapa, he reached. In the Halasya Mahatmyam, it says he went back to Kalyanapuram, which was, sorry, Kalyana Nagariya, from where he came. He came to this कल्याणपुरात् सः व्यापारार्थं सर्वत्र गत्वा पुनः तत्र कल्याणनगरे पालयन् निखिलाः प्रजाः आसन् इति. So कल्याणपुरम् आसाद्य. It says very clearly that he came back to his hometown in Halasya Mahatmyam. But Nilakanta Dikshita does not specify whether he came back to his own town or not. He just says he went to the nearby town to complete his parana, physical parana, eating something actually to close that fast. So Satu Tena Adbhutenaiva Nivritta Amrita Paranaha Vratangam Paranam Kartum Prapa Nediyasim Puri. So having completed his fast with the nectar of that great sight, that beautiful sight that he saw at night, he reached a nearby town to follow up with the completion of his fast by eating something. Okay. Dramida, after doing all that, so in that Puri, so this shloka should actually come as a connection with the earlier shloka. Which Puram did he go to? Yatra iti, it is a connection. So it is called a Kulakam, where two shlokas make the Anvaya completely. We've seen this in the second Sarga itself, where he has included many shlokas, like that parenthesis Madri. We did that, right? Square bracket, flower bracket, everything we did in that. Where Pandya Deshe, Pandya Desha Varnane, Tadanantram, Tad Antarvartini, the river that was there inside that Pandya Desham. So he was describing it in within parenthesis in that manner. Here it is just a small two shloka combination where Prapa Nediyasim Purim Yatra Kulashekaraha Parthivaha Prashashasa, where Kulashekara Pandya was ruling the earth. So that's the connection from the earlier shloka to this shloka. Dramidanvaya Murdhanyaha Dvitiya Iva Vasavaha Prashashasa Mahim Yatra Parthivaha Kulashekaraha. Dramida Anvaya Murdhanyaha. Dramidaha, Dravidaha or Dramidaha, both are the same meaning. Some people say that, there is another version that Dramida is a Kshudra Parthivaha ityapi tatra vartate. That is a king who is not of a very great kulam, but he is of a Nicha kulam iti. But that is not the case here. Dictionaries will give you 2100 meanings. Please don't take everything and say, oh, this is one of the meanings, so let me take this alone. Let's be positive and take only the meaning that we want. Dramida here refers to a particular Desha Vishesham, which is the Deccan and south of Deccan. It refers to the Deccan Plateau, that is south of Vindhyas. The south of Vindhyas area completely was called Dramida Desham, and Taddeshe ye vartante kshatriyaha brahmanaha api santi. There are Dravidas who are called Brahmanas also, Dramida or Dravida. There are Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras. All four Varnas are there in this area. So they were in general called, like how we say South Indians today. North Indians and South Indians. South Indians means, it doesn't mean only one particular Varnam, one particular state. No, it includes all four, maybe even some parts of Maharashtra also for us. Right? So we have that section is called Dramida. So Dramida Anvaya here is you take it as Dramida iti Dakshina Bharata Kshatriyaha Tesham Anvayaha Kulam. Tasya kulasya murdhanyaha, murdhni sthitaha, one who is at the forefront of the entire lineage of the southern kings. So Dramidaha, southern kings, Anvaya, their lineage, Murdhanyaha is Sreshtaha, one who is at the head of it. So Dramidanvaya Murdhanyaha, Parthivaha, Kulashekaraha, the king Kulashekara, Parthivaha, king. So the king Kulashekara, who was the best in the lineage of southern kings, Dramida Anvaya Murdhanyaha, Mahim Prashashasa, he ruled this earth like second Indra. Dvitiyaha iva Vasavaha. Dvitiyaha Vasavaha iva Anyaha Indraha iva Saha Imam Bhumim Palayamasa. Okay. Dramidanvaya Murdhanyaha Tam Purim Saha Prapa. Connect with the earlier here. Prapa Nedeyasim Purim Yatra Dramidanvaya Murdhanyaha Parthiva Kulashekaraha Mahim Prashashasa. Dvitiyaha Vasavaha iva Mahim Prashashasa. Okay. So Dramidanvaya Murdhanyo Dvitiya iva Vasavaha Prashashasa Mahim Yatra Parthivaha Kulashekaraha. Now you go back to Dhananjaya here. Sangamya bandhubhisardham Vishramya cha yathasukam Vrittam Vignapayamasa Ragnye Sarvam Swam Adbhutam. Here you have to pull in from the earlier shloka. You know, there is a concept called Manduka Pluti in Vyakaranam. Manduka Pluti na jumping like a frog. That is, you skip one. A frog, when it jumps from one stone to another, it will skip one stone in the middle if it wants to, and then move on to the next one. So that is called Manduka Pluti. Sometimes in a sutram, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sutras. The first sutra will apply for 2, 3, 4, and 5. Right? But sometimes Panini would have written in some manner that Sutra 1 will not apply for 2, but it will directly jump and apply for 3. This is called Manduka Pluti. In the same way, we have to take something like that here also. But if you take it as that Kulakam, then it will solve your problem. If you take both shlokas together. So, Yatra Parthivaha Prashashasa, then where is your Karta for the entire shlokam? Let me go back and show you this. Sahatu. See, this Sahatu is what you need, right? What did I do? Sahatu tena adbhutena iva. Saha prapa yatra kulashekaraha prashashasa. So the next following shloka, 72, should take this Saha from the 70th shloka. Okay? So Saha Dhananjayaha Bandhubihi Sardham Sangamya, he connected or he met with his relatives. Sangamya, he met with his relatives. Bandhubihi Sardham Sangamya, having met with his relatives. Yathasukam Vishramya, Yathasukam, that is Sukhena, without, very happily, Yathasukam Vishramya, having rested happily. He did not go immediately and tell this Raja. So he first went to his relative's place, and then he ate with all of them and rested very well. Then he went to the king, because the king is not someone you can go and meet anytime and every time. In the evening time, like how we go to the temple in the evening at around 4:35, that is how probably there was a time that the king also allocated for listening to the subjects, right? So he would have taken that time and slot probably to go and visit him. And he went to the king, Ragnye Sarvam Swam Adbhutam Vrittam Vignapayamasa. Vignapayamasa, he conveyed Sarvam, all of the Adbhutam that happened to him. Vrittam is that happened. Vrittam yat atitam samudbhutam tat sarvam adbhutam asit ascharyajanakam asit tat sarvam vijnapayamasa kathayamasa kasmai rajne nripaya. So he told that king Kulashekara all that happened to him. Swam ityukte atmiyam svena drishtam shrutam tat sarvam adbhutam. He conveyed it, all of the astonishing, wonderful incidents that happened to him at night. He went to the king and told everything as it happened. Sangamya bandhubhis sardam vishramya cha yatha sukham vrittam vijnapayamasa rajne sarvam swam adbhutam. Sajatu purusham karchit. Now this saha refers to Kulashekara. Contextually, we have to connect and take things. Sajatu purusham kanchit chandrachoda jatadharam nidrano antardrisha adrakshit nripatihi Kulashekaraha. Saha nripatihi Kulashekaraha nidranaha jatu nidranaha jatu kadachit. Once when he slept, the sleeping king, as nidranaha is a kta pratyaya here, so you take it as he was sleeping or when he went to sleep. Okay, so when King Kulashekara went to sleep, nidranaha saha Kulashekaraha nripatihi kanchit purusham adrakshit. Adrakshit, he saw some purusha, that is a devaha. Purusha is not a manushyaha, but puri shete, puri dehe yaha shete asti vidyate. One who resides inside the body. It is not a jivatma here, so you will take it as the antaratma, which is the Parameshwara. So Purusham, just like how you call Paramapurushaha, Narayana as Paramapurusha, in the same way, here also Parameshwara is also called as Paramapurushaha Atra, because he is the Antaratma who is present in everybody. So, Kanchit Purusham Adrakshit. Katham Adrakshit, he did not use his outer eye to see, but he used his Yogaja Pratyaksham, Antardrisha, using his inner eye. So with his inner eye, Kulashekara saw a being, a Deva, but how did he recognize that Deva? Any person, and in Shishupala, there is a Shlokam where, Krishna sees a light that comes from the Akasham, and then he recognizes hands and legs and all to know that it is some form. Then he understands that it is a Purusha. Then Kramena Narada iti abodhi. There must be some indications where he saw his veena or his form or his recognizable features. And Krishna recognized Kramena Naradaha iti abodhi. He could understand that it was Narada. The same way, when you look at a being, you recognize him with certain features, like Shankha Chakraha. यदि शङ्खचक्रधारी वर्तते तर्हि सः हरिः एव इति तथा अत्रापि परमेश्वरस्य किं चन्द्रचूड जटाधरः जटां धरति, he has matted hair, and on the chuda shikharam he has a chandra, a crescent moon. There is a chandra on the top of his matted hair. There is only one person who can be like that, right? Purushaha tattu. So with matted hair and the moon on head, he saw a being in his swapnam through his inner eye. Antardrisha nripatihi nidranaha saha jatu kadachit. Antardrisha, antarnetrena, yogaja pratyakshena. So direct indriya pratyaksham is something that you view outside the objects of the world with your outer indriyas. Anything that you experience within, there is a pratyaksham that happens inside also, but there are no eyes or anything inside, but it is because of yoga. So it is called yogaja pratyaksham in Nyaya Shastra. So antardrisha, antaha, what manas is a form for, it is a representation of all of the indriyas that are there outside. That is why manas is called the shashtham indriyam. And any pratyaksham that you have using that, it is called a yogaja pratyaksham or manasa pratyaksham. Right? So Antardrisha, using his inner eye, Adrakshit, he saw a being which was having matted hair and the crescent moon on his head. Now Parameshwara is going to speak to Kulashekara in his dream. Nanvasti nagaradasmat paschimam nipakananam vanyair mrigaganai sardham vasamo atra vayam chiram vayam. Nanu asti. See, indeed, there is something there. Nipakananam. Nagarat asmat paschimam. Now, imagine some person is coming and saying, at night I was in a forest and suddenly I heard some music. Then I saw a lot of devas, kinnaras, gandharvas, and apsaras who were all dancing there. Anybody will take some time to believe it. He will not immediately take some action about it. He will not believe it at all. So he will first say, okay, probably it is a personal experience of this person. Fine. A person, a believer who understands these siddhis. We are still talking about Krita Yugam. So let's have that time frame also in mind. It's not Kali Yugam where we are reluctant to believe anything and everything. Okay. So whereas it was Krita Yugam and people believed in all of these things and it was true also, right? At that time, people had those siddhis. So probably Kulashekara must have listened to this and he would have thought, okay, this is a personal experience that Dhananjaya has gone through. He is a great Shiva Bhakta. I understand that. But Kulashekara also, being a Shiva Bhakta, he must have thought that, I have not had this experience. So he must have thought about Shiva and this experience that Dhananjaya had, and he must have slept with that thought. And so Parameshwara would have decided to grace him with his presence in his swapnam and told him that, listen, build a city for me, build a temple for me where I am staying. Asmat nagarat paschimam, in the west, towards the western direction of this city, from this city, to the west of the city, Nagarat asmat paschimam, or behind. You can take it as paschimam can be paschat gatam, or you can take it as paschimayam dishi iti. So in there is a kananam in the west of this city or behind this city. Nagarat asmat paschimam nipakananam astinanu. Isn't there a forest of nipa trees, kadamba trees? We have been staying there for a long time with wild animals. Vanyaihi mrigaganaihi sardham, with the groups of wild animals. Atra chiram vayam vasamaha. We have been staying there. Vayam iti aham eva. I have been staying there for a long time. Or you can take vayam as saparivaraha aham, along with the Vinayaka. This is after the Airavata Leela, right? Because Airavata also, remember, he had established two lingam. One was in the name of himself, Airavateshwara iti. There is also another lingam in the name of his Swami, so Purandareshwara iti. So there are two lingams. There must have been some idols of Devi, Vinayaka, everybody, which Indra had established probably. And those were all in probably a Shithilam state, or it might be buried inside. There are so many temples which are buried inside in India, and people are slowly bringing it out. Bhagavan comes to their dream and tells them, I'm buried here, take me out and build a temple for me. Tatha atrapi, Shiva comes to the mind of Kulashekara and tells him, Vayam atra chiram vasamaha. I am living here. I have been staying here for a long time with vanya mrigaganaihi, with the groups of wild animals. Nanu asti nagaradasmat paschimam nipakananam vanyair mrigaganais sardham vasamo atra chiram vayam. Tadvanam nagarikritya tadeva adhivasan swayam kulam udhritya vatsa tvam kuru nama idam arthavat. So what is the action plan here? Hey Vatsa, child, we are all children of Shakti and Shiva. So Shiva calls him as Vatsa. Vatsa, tvam Tadvanam nagari kritya, you make that forest into a city. Tadvanam nagari kritya, a nagaram sampadyate. Khananam nagaram kritva, iti nagari kritya. There is a chui pratyaya which is added to show that something which was not a city before should be changed into a, or is being changed into a city. So here Tadvanam nagari kritya, after changing that Kadambavanam into a city, Tadeva Swayam Adivasan. You don't change it into a city and leave it as a ghost town. You go and stay there yourself. Swayam Tadeva Adivasan. Adhi Upasarga is there. So instead of saying Tasmin Vasan, he's saying Tat Adivasan in Dvitiya Vibhakti. Like Kailasam Adivasati and not Kailase Adivasati. Tat eva swayam adivasan, and you yourself, you staying there, kulamudhritya, you raise your lineage. Bahumani kritya swaparivaram athava nripakulam udhritya, you make it grow or raise it from whatever position it is today. It will become better. Uttamam kritva. Tadanantaram idam nama arthavat kuru. Idam nama, make your name Kula Shekhara. Kulam Kulasya Shekhari Bhutaha, one who is the Shekharamna Tala. This head is called Uttamangam. There are so many parts in our body. This head alone is called Uttamangam. It is the best part of our body, it seems. It's because you cut off your hand, your body will function. You cut off your head, your body will not function. You're dead. You can cut off any other part in your body because this is the Sreshta Mangam. That is one reason. The other reason is also all of our sense organs are present here. The sensory organs are all present in this head. Your brain is here. That is why this head is your Uttamangam. So Shekhara is the head. So it means it is Sreshtavachi Shabda. So Lakshana, you take Lakshana and say Shekhara means best. Kula Shekhara. You are the best among in your lineage, in your kulam. So you make this name that you have arthavat, full of meaning. You make it as an anvarthanama, not just some name that your parents have given, but you actually become the best among your kulam. You raise your kulam in such a manner that you will be treated as the best and as appropriate to your name. This is the Ashirvadam that Shiva gives to Kulashekara and the order that he gives for Kulashekara Pandya. Tadvanam nagari kritya tadeva adhivasan swayam kulam udhritya vatsatvam kuru nama idam arthavat. Okay. Any doubts? You can raise your hands. Yes, sir. You can unmute yourself.
Yes, I'm கேக்குதா?
கேக்குறது. சொல்லுங்க.
இது தனஞ்சயா அவருடைய சபைக்கு போய் அவருக்கு என்ன நடந்ததுன்னு சொல்றாரு. அதுக்கு அப்புறமா does the king get the dream?
Yes.
Is it a dream or is it also a vision?
It's a vision. That's why he doesn't say swapna iti noktam. So he says antardrisha apashyat abdingar. So it is like a vision when he was sleeping. Good point.
So his story initiated his inner vision.
Yes.
Okay. So Dhananjaya is guru. அவருக்கு இல்லையா அப்படி ஆயிடுது.
எடுத்துக்கலாம்.
திராவிடம்ங்கிற வார்த்தையோட விற்பத்தி எப்படி இருக்கு?
விற்பத்தி பாக்குறேன். திரமிடக்கு வந்து வியுற்பத்தி இல்ல, திரவிடக்கு இருக்கு. யூசுவலி தே சே திரவிட இஸ் லைக் அந்த புளியும் சொல்லுவா.
வார்த்தை எப்ப இருந்து இருக்கு? thousands of years இருந்து இருக்காது, இல்ல இப்போ ரீசன்ட்டா வந்த வேர்டா?
இல்ல மகாபாரதத்துல எல்லாமும் இருக்கு உங்களுக்கு. எல்லாம் லாங் பேக் யூ ஹேவ் தட் வேர்ட்.
சோ திரவிடம்னாலே சவுத் இந்தியால தான் வந்துடுமா?
ஆந்திரா, கர்நாடகா, குர்ஜர, Maharashtra, Dravida, and the Madri, you can, Dravida is actually a collective name for 5 sets of people. Andhra, Karnataka, Gurjara, Telanga, Maharashtra. ஆந்திராங்கிறது நம்ம இன்க்ளூடிங் தமிழ்நாடு தான் ஆந்திரா பிரசிடென்சி தானே இட் வாஸ் கால்ட் பிஃபோர் இல்லையா? ரிமெம்பர் நம்ம பிஃபோர் மெட்ராஸ் பிரசிடென்சி, அதுக்கு முன்னாடி இட் வாஸ் கால்ட் தி ஸ்டேட் ஆஃப் ஆந்திரா ஆல்சோ at one point.
Yeah, but
so it included
Madras presidency ki kula vandu Andhra came, as far as I know.
Above, so there is a time when it was completely called Andhra.
Yeah,
Andhra Desham also.
இந்த திரமிடான்னு ஒரு ரிஷி கூட ரீசெண்டா பார்த்தேனா.
Yes, yes. இருக்கு. Dramida is the name of actually a grammarian. School of grammarians also. Okay, yeah. Any other doubts? Okay.
இன்னைக்கு கூட people when they get help accidentally, when they are in real trouble, you know, somebody else comes and helps out and disappears in no time. அது கேட்டிருக்கீங்களா நீங்க?
ஆமா, நிறைய இன்சிடென்ட்ஸ் இருக்கு.
என்னுடைய லைஃப்லயே எங்க மாமா had come when I was in tears in a big crowd, not knowing how to go home, you know, and he later says he did not help me.
அந்த மாதிரி நிறைய பேருக்கு inexplicable experiences have happened and people still do have that, and if you want to look into it, you can look into it in two different ways. If you are a believer, then you believe that it was a divine hand. If you are non-believer, then you just say something happened.
But they also, the non-believers also experience something like that, but they are not able to interpret or see the way we see.
They would prefer to shut their eyes to certain things instead of being open about it. தெரியலன்னு சொல்றது வேற.
She had a flat tire on the road and என்ன பண்றதுன்னு தெரியாம முழிச்சுட்டு இருக்கும்போது ஒரு truck fellow comes and stops and helps, and without even waiting for a thanks he leaves. You know, இதெல்லாம் வந்து சும்மா ஈஸி இதுவா நடக்கிறது கிடையாது. You know,
இதெல்லாம் டிவைன் கோஇன்சிடென்ஸ்.
எல்லாருமே ஒண்ணுதான், பகவான் தான். அதனால அப்படி அப்படியும் எடுத்து சொல்லலாம்.
சரி,
வண்டர்ஃபுல். இந்த தூக்கம் கிக்கம்னு சொல்லிட்டு இருந்தேன், என்ன புரியல எனக்கு.
புரியல.
இவர் கேள்வி கேட்கும் போது
அது ஸ்வப்னமா இல்லையான்னு கேட்டார், விஷன்னான்னு கேட்டார். இஸ் இட் a dream or a vision?
இது இதுல காட்டுல நடந்ததையா?
இல்ல, ராஜாக்கு இருந்தது. ராஜாக்கு இருந்தது was a vision-ங்கற. It may not have been a dream because the words there are antardrisha adrakshithan இருக்கு. அதனால it is a vision that the king had in it.
Okay. Yeah.
சரி, நம சுந்தரநாதாய தஸ்மை ஹாலாஸ்ய வாசினே சதுஷ்டி விதாலீலா ஏனாகாரி புவஸ்தலே ஸ்ரீமத் சுந்தரநாதஸ்ய தேவீம் சபரலோச்சனாம் கலயே ஹிருதயே நித்யம் கதம்ப வனமாசினீம்.